Spears, I don't believe you. And simply, why should I? Huh? Why should I, man? Ever since you came into AEW, you've been a failure. And actually, Spears, the more I think of it, you were a failure where you used to work too. And here's the thing. All y'all need to know, May 5th, you're gonna fail again, buddy. Because I don't care if it's 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1. You want the damn advantage, you got it. I'll start the damn thing and I'll fight every single one of you. I'll start with the damn popcorn guy. I don't care who it is. I'm gonna fight everybody.
Hello, you're listening to Talk AEW, the official wrestling podcast of goombastomp.com and tiltmagazine.net. I'm Mariko. I'm joined as always by Aaron Santos.
Hello, WrestleManiacs.
And of course, the editor-in-chief of Goombastomp and Tilt Magazine, Ricky D.
What's up, Mariko? What's up, Aaron? What's up, listeners? We are the number 2 fan podcast. I don't want to call us number 1, but I'll call us number 2. I don't know who number 1 is, but we'll settle with number 2.
No, just say it, number 1.
Number 1.
We need to know who number 1 is so we know who to go after.
Well, until number 1 shows up, we're just gonna say number 1.
There you go.
Number one.
Number one.
Kicking off this show, as we do every single week, it's time for Ravishing Ricky D's Rapid Fire Questions.
That's right. Before we get to the main event, I got about 15 questions this week that we need to answer. So, question number 1. I was thinking about this yesterday. The opening match was a shocker, an upset. Can you believe it? Brian Cage beat Hangman Adam Page. Amazing, right? But wouldn't it be amazing, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you guys disagree, but wouldn't it be amazing if in a pay-per-view event or an episode of Dynamite, every single match ended with a huge upset? I'm talking about every single match, huge upset, the underdog wins. Because I don't ever recall that happening in a wrestling event, ever.
I love it. I mean, I complain all the time that things are too predictable. Just have an entire evening of swerves and underdogs, and like, there's always a way to make a story out of it. I'm honestly almost hoping that Blood and Guts we get that. Like, there is a way to do it with almost every fight on that card, which we will get into in the main event. But I love it when I'm surprised. I mean, as much as I love Hangman Page and want him to win every single match, I also like, Brian Cage, and it was really fun to see something unexpected and how that feeds into the whole storyline with him, beefing with Taz and all that stuff. So, I would be down for, an entire show of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mariko. I mean, I would love to be proven wrong, like, on every match, because, like, there comes a point where, especially like in the Darby match, right? You always think that, like, Darby's gonna win.
He's gonna get beat down and beat down and beat down, and then you're gonna, he's dead, and then the commentators are gonna be like, oh my god, he's dead. We're gonna see a new champion, and then he does his special roll up and he wins, and that's the end of the match.
Well, exactly, and it's a nice, it's a nice thing to be proven wrong, because I don't know why I still do it. I watch WWE, and every week is freaking predictable. So I will take the Brian Cage win any freaking day.
For real. I feel like it could be the wrestling promotion, in this case AEW, taking a big chance, because whenever there is a huge upset, you risk the possibility of upsetting a certain amount of fans, right? Like a good portion of the fan base. But I think that if it was every single match, like, people would just be like, holy shit. Like, imagine yesterday, Darby loses, the Young Bucks lose, so on and so forth. Imagine
they'd be talking about it for weeks.
For sure. We all know Tony Khan hacks our podcast, right? At this point in time.
Conspiracy.
Because every single week I say something, and then he proves me wrong the following week. So he clearly wants me to look bad. I mean, last week, me complaining about Team Taz never winning, Hangman Page won't lose, so on and so forth. I mean, hey.
You know what? As crazy as you sound the last 2 weeks, you were probably onto something.
Yeah.
Somebody's listening.
Yeah, someone's listening.
Somebody's listening to someone who's listening to someone who's listening.
Next question. Do we need more video game references? Because I'm telling you, maybe I'm just like a huge geek, but I loved the Johnny Cage low blow.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And it was the second splits of the night. Mm-hmm. Or in that match, I should say. Not just the night, but that particular match. Yeah, it was funny because my husband actually worked on some of the Mortal Kombat games. So it's a game that's very near and dear to our hearts. And so seeing Mad pull that off was just fantastic. And yes, I mean, there are a lot of video game references, hidden video game references within wrestling, especially AEW. I mean, look at most of Kenny Omega.
And the Young Bucks. I mean, they did walk out dressed as Ken and Ryu at one point in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, like even the Omegas from Omega Weapon from Final Fantasy VII, One Wing Angel is a reference to Sephiroth.
The V trigger is a reference to Street Fighter.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but what is the best video game reference? Because I really think the One Winged Angel is, and I don't think a lot of people realize it's a reference to Final Fantasy. Like people
who doesn't know that? Are you kidding me? Who wouldn't know that?
It's kind of a deep cut.
The One-Winged Angel? Okay, maybe that's just me being a huge Final Fantasy nerd, but...
That's the thing. Like, everyone in this room is, like, a pretty big Final Fantasy... Like, my husband's desk is literally just encircled with Final Fantasy fan art.
See, I'm jealous of that. I would totally adorn my desk with Final Fantasy stuff.
I know people who still call every single video game console and video game a Nintendo. They still call it a Nintendo.
Yes.
Elites. Okay, so the Elites... Prove me wrong. Fight me on this. I think they're better as heels, and I think they're flipping funny.
Well, I'm not going to fight you for it. So
yeah, it's not worth the fight. Also, their heel fashion choices. Like, can we just everything about, especially Nick seems to be going all in on like the douchebag fashion choices. The
dangly earrings.
Oh, the dangle earrings, like, yeah, I love, like, the Shawn Michael references, like, the dangle earrings, like, the dangly cross, and the Kangol hat, and, like, the whole thing, it's
all HBK. I mean, when I look at them, I just can't help but think Shawn Michaels, like, clearly you're going to think the 80s, maybe early 90s, rock music like Warrant, Poison,
Bad hair metal.
Crew. Yeah, exactly, right? But Shawn Michaels, I mean... That look is Shawn Michaels' look.
100%.
And I've always thought of the
Rock. It's not an accident.
They need a Razor Ramon. They need someone to be like Razor Ramon.
Yeah, I mean, Doc Gallows has the height and everything, but he's way too goofy.
Aaron, your buddy, Kenny Omega, your best friend.
Yes.
Didn't he win like 2 championships? Isn't he walking around with a ton of gold on his shoulder? Isn't he the man of championship titles? Did he not mention the championship win or wins in this episode? What is going on here?
It's a very they did mention the championship win. The announcers have mentioned that Kenny Omega is the Impact champion. I don't know why he's not walking around with, half a body full of gold.
Does he still have the AAA championship? Because he had that for a while too.
He's still currently the AAA Mega Championship. So that too is because like I said, like I just said, like he should be walking around with like half a torso full of gold.
Yeah, he's like Iron Man made of championship belts or something.
But if I heard correctly, this was like pre-recorded, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the recording schedule is. I don't know if this was recorded before him going to Nashville to record Impact.
It definitely was.
But here's the thing. I get what you're saying. I understand it's pre-recorded. It's clear as day it was pre-recorded.
Yeah, but they know the booking.
But the promo was inside a limousine. First of all, they could have refilmed the promo because they can just edit it back in, or they could have just filmed it, because it's not like the dudes in the limousine are going to go leak the news to the media. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like it's out in the open and fans can walk by and see them filming this promo and he's got 3 or 4 belts around their shoulder. You know what I think is going to happen? I think he's going to clearly win as many belts as possible, and then he's going to lose the AEW championship first before losing every championship afterwards. Like, I think he needs to lose the AEW belt first, and then slowly he's going to fall apart, and then he's eventually going to become a good guy.
Well, clearly that's the most important one to him and to any stories that they're telling. So, yeah, that makes sense.
I have a huge issue with referee Rick Knox. I don't know if you agree or you even noticed this dude, but of all the referees, he's the one referee who I just can't stand watching. I remember writing about this like way back, year 1, when Dynamite had just started. I think he's just not a good referee. He always messes up. He can't control a match. It never looks realistic. He never follows the rules. He never enforces the wrestlers or makes them follow the rules. He loses control of the match each and every single time, and he's got no personality. So just him being in the ring, I feel like he's just not good, and he's a distraction for me. Am I alone here?
I think at first when you posted out these questions, that you outed like Rick Knox, I was like, did he do something wrong during the night? Because I didn't notice anything.
It's more that, like, he doesn't even seem to play along when, people are interfering or doing, like, it's not like he's staring right at people, and instead of like pretending to, like, we all know it's pantomime, but like make us believe a little bit.
Look, Bryce Remsburg, go back and watch the match again with Penta and Orange Cassidy and look at how he reacts to what they do. His facial expressions, his body movement, his mannerisms. He's amazing. He's an amazing actor. He could be like a Buster Keaton in a silent movie. Like, he's that good. Like, look at him. Like, for real, someone's got to give this dude credit. Aubrey is amazing too, but Bryce Remsburg, that dude is by far the best referee they have. Rick Knox, man, I can't stand this dude, like, for real. Anyhow, next question. Is Alex the best manager? Like, I know he's annoying as shit, but he serves a purpose, unlike, say, Jake the Snake Roberts or Vicky Guerrera.
Yeah, I absolutely love the translator gimmick. I mean, working in translation myself, obviously anytime like translation becomes a topic, I get really excited because I'm a huge dork. But I love it. I love how they're letting him kind of roll with it, and like we know that Alex Abrahantes is funny. Like, we've seen him do like Benny Bodega and all that stuff on BTE. We know he has a sense of humor and, can play characters and ham it up and stuff. And so watching him get a chance to do it, and the gimmick is so good because it doesn't even matter what Penta is saying. Like, they could even make it a gimmick later that like Penta's only ever saying nice things, and it's Alex Abrahantes who's like, turning his words on him and everything. Like, I'm a huge fan of this gimmick. I love the idea of an evil translator. Like, I really, really like it.
Yeah, I totally agree, because like what Alex Abrahantes is doing on the show is so funny. And I just want to point out too that he's also carrying it over on social media. He's been doing it on Twitter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like there's one time that he said, like, was it the one tweet that stood out for him because it was so random and like so out of nowhere? It was like Penta wanted everyone to know that he puts ketchup on his eggs because he has zero miedo. I was like, what? What does it have to do with anything? But okay, that's awesome.
That was funny.
So yeah.
Fantastic.
Speaking of comedy, do we like the comedy between Orange Cassidy and Penta, or is it getting old?
It's still good. I like it.
They don't do it every match. I mean, Cassidy to some extent, but like him really hamming it up with someone like Penta, who can ham it up, but is also like one of the meanest MFs on their roster. I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it happened every week, I would hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that was the thing, because we didn't get to see Orange Cassidy like really do too much. It was like his usual spots with
Well,
his
like that, the
character.
last time he really went off was against. I mean, there was a famous match against Pac at the
Yeah.
pay-per-view, but that was
Well,
last year.
exactly. That was that like when I was watching this match, I was like, I haven't seen Orange Cassidy like this since Pac.
Yeah.
So
Also, it worked well because of Penta. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't
mhm.
expect Penta to bring the comedy,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
he
yeah.
did, and he was really good. So
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I do worry about how far Orange Cassidy can go given his size and the gimmick. I mean, let's face it, he's not like I like Orange Cassidy, but he's no Darby Allin, he's no Jungle Boy. Like I don't think he can get to their level. So I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
he's still really over with the fans. The kids love
Mhm.
him. So,
He's ranked number 2, by the way.
yeah. No, I think there are still greater heights for him to climb. Like, I don't think this is it for him at all.
Yeah, for sure.
But I could see him winning the TNT championship eventually, but I can't see him defending the title as often as, say, someone like Darby Allin, which we'll get to eventually here on the podcast.
Mhm.
Okay, I just have to quickly mention my favorite new catchphrase, Sheeta later.
I thought it was a great tagline. I mean, like, give it up to Britt for coming up with these cool things.
I love it when Tony does DMD. And like his face, like his expression, he's so cute. He's adorable when he does it, right? If that was your dad, you would be proud. You're like, look at my dad, he's doing DMD.
Yeah.
So what do we think of the parlay? Because I thought it was amazing. I thought it was fantastic. Like by far not the best promo that MJF or Chris Jericho or anyone there delivered, but it was smart because they didn't try to do too much. They just really focused on promoting the Blood and Guts match
Mhm.
and just, doing what they needed to do, not trying to be a little too fancy with their words.
Well, I mean, outside of people being threatened that they're not coming back from that ring, I mean, it was a great promo.
Right, but I mean, we didn't have Chris Jericho trying to sing like a Lala Tune song like he did
Yeah,
last week. You know what I mean?
yeah.
He dropped a few pop culture references, which I thought was like funny, but he didn't go overboard.
Yeah, and everybody like kept their bit. It was good booking with putting Sean Spears first, because how is it gonna? I love the dude, but yeah. Anyways,
Look, the thing about Sean Spears, okay, he should be bigger and he should be more successful. And if you look at him standing across from someone like Sammy, he's like twice the size in terms of muscle. He's really big. Like he's muscular, he's strong, he's got talent, he can wrestle. I don't know what it is about Sean Spears. He's even got a cool name. He's got a pretty cool look, minus the mohawk maybe, but I just can't pinpoint what the problem is.
I can't say. I mean, like when he delivered his promo, I
like
mean,
it was
like
good,
it was good, but I just felt like it lacked a
but
bit
there's
of
a reason he went
charisma.
on first. That's the thing. Like
Mhm.
he's good at following a bunch of people who like win promo of the year repeatedly.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I thought it was kind of like a smorgasbord of promos. We got like a little sampling from everybody and nothing overstayed its welcome or anything.
Mhm.
Except for Jake Hager and Wardlow, they just continued to stare at each other.
Yeah,
I
but that's what they
mean,
always
what
do.
else? Like, what else do you want them to do?
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's all they have to do. Just stare at each other.
I do think Sammy delivered the worst promo, but I think that's the point. Like, because
yeah,
he was kind of proving the fact that he's not really smart. He's like, yeah, I'll go in the ring. It'll be 4 against 1. Okay, so basically Sammy's guaranteed to enter first next week. He's
Yeah.
well,
probably
that's what
going to
he
stay to
said.
the
He
end.
volunteered to enter first.
Mhm.
Oh, you can I thought it was I thought it was going to be random.
No.
Well, it's supposed to be random, and then he talked himself into it.
Mhm.
That's what his promo was deciding to take the first spot instead of making it random, because that's how hardcore he is about it.
You know what? I'm going to save what I'm going to say next for our main event, because we're going to talk about Blood and Guts next week. So I'm going to put my thoughts on hold. Jade,
All right.
my favorite wrestler in the world, my favorite person in the world. She's the coolest. She's the best. My question is Jade secretly teasing that AEW will soon hire a new recruit, meaning someone's going to come into the company, be her manager, and it's going to be a celebrity? Am I crazy here?
Well, it's basically like, why you protesting so hard, lady? Like, she keeps saying, I don't need a manager. Everyone wants me. I don't need a manager.
Mm-hmm.
But all the managers want me, but I don't want a manager. It's like, okay, so 2 weeks in a row? What's going on?
Exactly. Kanye West is going to show up next week. He's going to be her manager. You know, I'm glad Mariko finds this so funny because Tony Khan is listening, and right now he's on his phone, right? Aaron, you know what I'm talking about, right? Right now he's on his phone, and he's calling Kanye.
Kanye,
He's calling Kanye.
Yeah.
Oh, just to do it just to spite me. Oh my lord. Oh.
The point is, I really do think they're going to bring in some celebrity, Snoop Dogg, Kanye, someone.
Well, Snoop's already been on, and he's part of Nightmare Family. So
What about
that
Booker
won't
T?
work.
Is Booker T still part of WWE? Because I heard his contract expired.
Oh, did it expire?
I don't know. I think so.
I mean, I thought he was still with the Performance Center and stuff.
No clue.
This might be a good chance to bring Shaq back. I don't
But
know.
I mean, why be so cagey about it? We already know they're buddies, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so Penelope Ford, I think, is the most underrated and underused wrestler in the women's division. Prove me wrong.
Underused, I will agree with that. But, I
Mhm.
mean, but she has been out
I
for a
think-
couple of weeks.
Seconded only by Shanna, who
Mm.
like disappeared even
Yeah.
after she made her comeback.
Yep. Yeah, so I'll say that, like, underused, yes, but I do understand like her time away from the ring the last couple of weeks because she did have like she posted on social media she had like an allergic reaction to one of her eyelashes, which kept her out for a while.
Oh, gross.
I'm sorry, she had a what?
Allergic reaction, a rare allergic reaction to her eyelashes. To like one
How
of her-
can you have an allergic reaction to your eyelashes? You're born with your eyelashes.
No, like
they're
the,
referring to like
the fake
probably
eyelashes.
the adhesive in the lashes or something like that. I also am very prone to eye infections now because I used a lash serum that it does work. It grows your lashes,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes you far more susceptible to infections now.
Oh, I have beautiful long lashes. Just letting you guys know. I always get compliments on my lashes. People are like, "Wow, is that real?"
Yeah, I do too. My mom used to joke that she married my dad because of his long eyelashes because she's Japanese, so she has like no eyelashes.
I remember once, Aaron, you can ask Alma about this. So
Mhm.
I went to a coffee shop with Aaron's wife, Alma,
Yeah.
and this is back when I used to smoke because I was an idiot. And so she handed me her lighter. And so I went to go light my cigarette, and I swear to God, conspiracy, like she planned this. And so the flame was like super
I remember.
high.
Yeah, I remember this story. Now.
I burnt off my eyelashes in the coffee shop. The whole
Yes.
entire coffee shop smelled like burnt eyelashes. Do you know how terrible that smell is?
Oh,
It's like
no.
everyone in the coffee shop had to leave because it was smelled so bad.
Yeah, I remember the story, and you accused my wife that she raked.
Well, I didn't
lighter.
accuse her. She did. She
you
handed
right
me
for
the
smoking.
lighter. She handed me the lighter. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. One thing that drives me nuts is when you have a surprise appearance like Cody Rhodes. He returns to Dynamite. He beats up QT Marshall on top of an 18-wheeler. Fantastic. But then seconds later, they slap a visual on the screen announcing a match between Cody and QT next week. Like,
mhm.
can we please, Tony Khan, can we please pretend that this is not scripted for just 1 second? Because how do you know ahead of time that Cody Rhodes is going to show up and beat up QT on top of an 18-wheeler unless it's scripted?
Feeling that this might be like a TNT thing where they don't like surprises. So they might be obligated to promote matches for the next week so many times. or something
I
like that.
understand, but can't you just promote it after the following commercial break?
Well,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. They might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
obligated to do it during the show. Like certain matches need to be promoted during the
It's
show.
so stupid.
Mhm.
It's like TNT airs Game of Thrones and they tell you who's going to kill who before it actually happens. It doesn't make sense.
Well,
It's not like it's the first time in wrestling we've been asked
Yeah.
to suspend our disbelief.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, I'm like, well, it's it's wrestling. I mean, we can't expect everything to be like so like sports accurate. That has to be like you know, oh, after Cody spoke to Tony Khan, they have agreed to. I mean, they could do that, but yeah.
They do that all the time, but yeah,
Mhm.
anyway.
Back to Penelope Ford for a second. I do think she's maybe the second best wrestler in the women's division. I think she's that good. I've seen her wrestle men.
Really? You
Go
think
on
better?
YouTube. Go on YouTube and look up her matches from the indies. Look at her wrestling dudes. She is amazing. Like, not because dudes are like, better wrestlers than women, but just because she's actually fighting people who are twice her size in terms of like muscle and whatever, right? She's got an amazing look. I love her hair. I love the way she dresses. I love her name. I think she's really good looking. I love her personality, and she's amazing in the ring. I think the problem with Penelope Ford, no offense, is her husband. Because yes, they're in love. They got married, and Kip Sabian's a cool dude. But because she's partnered with Kip, for some reason, it takes her away from the singles match spotlight. So now she does singles matches, don't get me wrong, but she spent way too much time in this Miro storyline that I think they forgot about her.
Being the bride. That's one of the things about, partners working together, especially in wrestling. Like, it is so common for wrestlers to date other wrestlers. Like, you're around each other all the time. No one else understands the demands of your occupation like another wrestler, and can, roll with the punches, and, probably traveling with you anyways. And that sort of thing. But yeah, it is a real problem when, like, what happened with a couple years ago with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch getting pulled together into a storyline, and it killed both of their moments.
Like, look, I think Thunder Rosa is a better wrestler, and maybe possibly Shida. But Ty Conti's fantastic, Anna Jay's great, but I don't think they're better than Penelope Ford. Britt Baker is better on the microphone, but I don't think she's a better wrestler than Penelope Ford.
That's high praise, though, because
I'm telling you, she's amazing.
I'm just saying. Well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't doubt you saying that Penelope Cruz is amazing, but we just saw like Tay Conti in like an amazing match like 2 weeks ago or last week.
You mentioned The Bride. I thought about this when they did the wedding. Probably my fifth favorite movie of all time is Bride of Frankenstein. If I had to make a Bride of Frankenstein movie, I would cast her. Oh yeah, I would cast her as the bride.
Maybe it was like a rockabilly thing.
Darby Allin, if you're listening, I know you're making a movie. If you make a movie, you want to do a Bride of Frankenstein reference, cast Penelope Ford as the bride. And also hire me, please.
She got them cheekbones. She could definitely do it.
For sure. And the hair.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, back to you. Thoughts on Jon Moxley defending the IWGP belt? Go.
I mean, he called out Yuji Nagata a couple of weeks ago on NJPW Strong, because I think he was taking up open challenges. I think it's cool that they're promoting this on AEW. Again, like, I'm never gonna say like, no, come on, bring on more people from NJPW. I want to see more of this like cross promotional stuff.
But let me ask you a question. So, like, because you're like, for anyone who doesn't know much about New Japan and the championship belt, is it possible that eventually Kenny Omega somehow gets involved and he wins that championship? Like, how many championships can Kenny Omega win? Can he be like, what's his face from Avengers, and instead of having rings, he's got these championship belts?
He could totally do that.
Thanos. He's like the Thanos of wrestling.
Like you know what though? Like, I would not be surprised if maybe come Double or Nothing, it becomes a title versus title, the IWGP champion, US championship for the against Kenny Omega for the AEW heavyweight championship.
Right.
I could see that happening. But as far as like Yuji Nagata goes, I mean, like, I'm totally surprised that he's still wrestling, man, because he's pretty old. He's been around since like the 90s, like even during like the WCW days. So
yeah. Okay, we're at the 30-minute mark, but I got about 3 more questions. So just a quick mention here. Someone on Twitter mentioned that the end of Darby Allin's match with 10 was similar to the end of the classic Roddy Piper and Bret the Hitman Hart match at WrestleMania 8.
Oh.
I don't think that this is a coincidence, because they just aired the Piper documentary this past week.
it's totally possible. I mean, it is the exact same finish because it was.
No. It's not exactly the same, because I think 10 put him in a full Nelson and Piper put Bret Hart in a sleeper hold.
Yeah, it was a sleeper hold.
Bret flipped
but it was,
over.
Yeah, but the full Nelson is part of 10's moveset. So
yeah, exactly. But
It's
it was
much a sleeper.
Well, I mean, I don't know how is that a sleeper, a full Nelson hold, but
If you're doing a full Nelson the way it's supposed to be done, not the way they do in but like to actually, like you can actually put someone to sleep with it.
okay, yeah. If you use the forearms to like block the carotid arteries,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, okay. I see
Yeah,
it.
and it's also like the position of the neck stops the airway.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But as far as like the similarities go, like I could see someone making that reference because it was the exact same thing. It was Bret Hart. It was Bret Hart at the turnbuckle or at the corner of the turnbuckle, pushing his way backwards to pin Roddy Piper and get the win. It's just
Right. So now the reason why I bring this up is because you pissed me off yesterday because I finally forgive Darby Allin, right? For beating like Jungle Boy last week. He's my favorite wrestler. He pissed me off last week. He's my favorite wrestler again. And then you go on Facebook and you start like giving me shit because you're saying that he's scrappy, as you put it. What does that mean? I mean, the finish of this match was homage to a classic WrestleMania match.
Because here's why I'm saying he's scrappy. I'm not saying that I hate Darby Allin, but it's just like how resourceful and how, like how do I put this? Look, it's gonna make me sound like a heel anyway. But like because like last week, like I wanted Jungle Boy to win, right? How does he beat Jungle Boy? He finds a way to do a crucifix pin and get Jungle Boy. When Jungle Boy was clearly about to win the match.
Yeah, but Jungle Boy messed up. He got caught. He made a mistake.
Yes, Jungle Boy messed up. Darby Allin found some way to win the match. I mean, again, resourceful, scrappy. He'll do whatever it takes.
He capitalized on a mistake that Jungle Boy made, and like JR says, each and every week, it only takes 3 seconds to win a match.
Exactly, scrappy. He'll find ways to win. Same thing like this week. I was cheering for 10. They cut a very nice promo about like how he was handpicked by Brody Lee. You can't help but get like certain feels about it. It's like, of course, I want this guy to win. Brody Lee was a TNT champion. I want him to win. And then what happens is that 10 puts him in like into like his finishing move into like the full Nelson. I'm going to call it the Hurt Business because it's the same thing as freaking Bobby Lashley's move. But anyway, does that and finds a way to pin 10.
Well, so we're going to come full circle here on Ricky's rapid fire questions because we opened up the talk spot by discussing what was my first question? It was
the upset. The
upset, right? So we started the podcast by talking about like, wouldn't it be amazing if every match was an upset? And that's the thing. If this match was an upset and 10 won, I think it would have been amazing because nobody went into this match thinking 10's actually going to win. Everyone expected 10 to lose. So it wasn't about is he going to lose? It was more about how is he going to lose? It's like when you watch a murder mystery and you know who the murderer is, but you don't know how or why they killed so-and-so. So the mystery is not who did it. It's not a who done it. It's like why.
How. Or
how. Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I look at it. But that brings me to my final question. Should the TNT Championship always be the main event on Dynamite, especially when he's wrestling someone like, no offense, 10 is a great wrestler, but he's not on the same level as Darby or Jungle Boy, so no one expects him to win.
Yeah, but it does put 10 in a very, very good spot. I mean,
what's wrong with elevating someone for a night?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he lost, but it certainly did put him over. Because how often has 10 had this kind of like main event spotlight?
Yeah, and he cut a killer babyface promo too.
Exactly.
So I don't have a problem with it, but I bring up the question because I've noticed a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. And I think it really has more to do with what happened last week because they put Darby and Jungle Boy in the main event instead of Britt Baker and Ty Conti, which was for a women's championship title, which was a great match also. But I kind of get it. Like TNT Championship is the TV title. So for me, it makes sense for it to take the spotlight and be in the main event because it's the TV championship.
Yeah, and certainly it's a good way to, again, put prestige onto a title because, unfortunately, Kenny Omega's all too busy trying to get other championships instead of focusing
to defend his
So
exactly.
So you got to put a singles title on the spotlight, right? While Thanos is busy getting other, Infinity Stones.
All right. Well, that is Ricky's rapid fire questions.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, the main event where we start to speculate on what's going to happen at Blood and Guts.
You self-righteous, self-gratifying little prick. How dare you be so entitled to think that you can have somebody's spot just because you want it? That you can inherit a spot like you inherited the trust fund that your mommy and daddy gave you when you were 18 years old. Or maybe you think you can absorb a spot via osmosis. Or maybe it's a big Tetris game that as soon as Jericho goes left, MJF slides right in. It doesn't work that way. You want a spot? You gotta earn it. You said last week that at 25 years old, I was curtain jerking in WCW. And you're damn right I was. And damn proud of it, because that's what led me to where I am today. But what you didn't mention is that 25 years old, I'd already headlined arenas around the world in Japan and Mexico and Germany. And that's another reason why I'm here today, because that's where I learned respect. That's where I got experience and life lessons, and that's where I earned the reputation that put me at the top of this game. If you want my spot, a good place to start earning it is by beating me in the inner circle at Blood and Guts.
And we're back to discuss the main event on Talk AEW, and we are going to be talking about Blood and Guts next week. AEW's very own War Game style grudge match. So I think we're just going to go through the card, and we'll get everybody to give their predictions. So starting off, we're actually going to get a 4-way tag match for a shot of the World Championship between SoCal Uncensored, that's Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, Jurassic Express, the Varsity Blondes, and the Acclaimed. Who do we think is going to take that one?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say SCU because they've already cut a fire promo yesterday, and I would really love to see this storyline move for once because it pretty much stalled since December. So
Now, hold on a second. This is an elimination match, right?
Yeah.
which hold on, so which doesn't make any sense because why does SCU need to fight in a 4-way to be the number one contender when they're already the number one contender?
I don't know.
Because the douchebag Bucks wanted to stretch things out another week.
Yeah,
I guess, but the problem is we know the SCU is going to win because if they don't win, they will retire, and that'll be stupid. So they're going to go into this match. Everyone knows they're going to win because, like, if it was a match where it's not an elimination, right? So let's say the Acclaimed pins. Who's in the match again? The Acclaimed and
Jurassic Express.
Okay, so let's say Max Caster pins Jungle Boy. So technically, SCU didn't lose; they didn't get pinned, right? But because it's an elimination match, they have to win. If they do not win, they are going to retire.
Well, like they said, break up. They didn't say retire.
I mean, you might as well retire if you're going to break up because what are these dudes going to do?
I mean, Christopher Daniels will go back to the Waterworld stunt show, and Frankie can start another feud with Christian Cage. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my prediction.
Although I would love to see any one of these outside of SEO would have loved to see also, but
yeah, they've put in all like the young scrappy people, so like there's no way the Acclaimed is winning this. All right. Okay. The next match isn't fully announced. Britt Baker is going to break someone. And okay. Next up is Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall.
So I think Cody's going to win because I think what they need to do, what they want to do is they want to set up a match between Cody and Anthony Ogogo. And I think Cody's going to be the one to beat Anthony Ogogo.
You know what? What I think QT is going to win this match.
What?
Yeah, I think QT is going to win, but he's not going to pin Cody clean. I'm pretty sure that QT is going to cheat somehow, put some more heat into this going into Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I'm with Aaron on this one. I think it would be a good opportunity to. I mean, I also would not be surprised in the least if Cody just wins because he's Cody.
Yeah.
But I think it draws it out. It's more dramatic. It's more exciting if the heels get one over before the pay-per-view for the big rematch. So yeah, I'm with Aaron.
Yeah, like what I could imagine is that, like, a go comes in, gives Cody a gut punch while the ref's not looking, and QT gets the pin.
I would say disqualification, but I don't think AEW has ever done a DQ, ended a match with a DQ.
That's true. When you think about it, that is true.
They've never ended a match with a DQ. I don't think Tony Khan likes it.
I don't think anyone does. We see it enough in WWE.
We'll see what happens. I think Cody's going to DQ T Marshall, but after the match, he's going to get his ass kicked by someone else, and I think he's going to go through the entire faction until he wrestles Anthony Ogogo at the pay-per-view event. But we shall see.
Okay, 2 more matches left. We've got Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa because Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston wanted a tag team match. How do we feel about this? Let alone who do we think is going to win?
I honestly have no idea.
I know the outcome. I know Kenny's going to lose. You know what? I'll put money down that Kenny's going to lose, but he's not going to get pinned. I'm pretty sure Nak is going to lose this match.
Well, if they lose, Michael and whatever his name is going to get pinned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Out of those two, like Nakazawa is definitely the because the bottom of the totem pole there.
Yeah, because this kind of match already has happened on Elevation.
That's true.
The Seidel brothers got the pin on Nak, and they ended up losing. So I would not be surprised if that's the same outcome.
Why does anyone care about this match?
Well, because it's Mox and Kingston. I mean,
Yeah, I want to see my best bros being best bros.
Yeah,
I don't care whose ass they're kicking.
But Kenny had it coming. I mean, he sent out Nak to fight Eddie Kingston. I mean, he had it coming. And that whole part, when you send Brandon Cutler, send out the goons, and then Brandon Cutler comes. He
has poor mask and his terrible tracksuit. I feel so bad for that guy.
Brandon Cutler?
I mean, I know he's doing fine, but yeah.
Well, you're best friends with the Young Bucks. You're gonna
get. Yeah, is what it is.
But
I honestly have no idea how this match is going to end.
Yeah, there's a distinct chance this will just turn into a really weird comedy match.
Oh, for sure. I feel like it'll definitely will. I mean, with Nakazawa in it.
I mean, Nakazawa involved, you're getting into weird comedy territory. Obviously Kenny Omega likes to be goofy whenever he can, and I feel like Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston are secretly giant goofballs.
Oh, dude,
I mean, why do you need to front that hard?
You know? I just worry that it's going to be a bunch of interference because that's all AEW seems to do these days. It's again, Tony Khan wants to piss off fans. He knows we always complain about the constant interference in every single match. There's 20 people running into the ring.
I don't think so, because the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks had a lot of chances to help Kenny when he was about to have his ankle broken, so they haven't showed up. So it could be just between the line storytelling. So I don't know.
I think that's because they're filming different segments and different matches on different days ahead of time, and then when they get to the editing room, they realize that they're missing footage, but it's too late because they've already filmed everything. So there's all these continuity errors. For example, last week when Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley ran over the trailer, and the whole entire Elite squad just disappeared and vanished into thin air. I'm pretty sure it's because they filmed those two scenes on different days and then realized that they were missing a shot and it was too late. So anyways,
All right, last match of the night, obviously, is Blood and Guts, the Inner Circle. Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz versus the Pinnacle. MJF, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Hardwood.
There is only one way this match can end. Only one possibility.
Someone's gonna die?
Nope.
I hope.
Sammy's going to last until the very end of the match. And the last two people left are going to be MJF and Sammy.
Oh.
And it will shift into an MJF versus Sammy feud, but the Pinnacle will win the match.
I am with you. I agree. I think Pinnacle could win this. They could.
I also feel like it would make sense for the Pinnacle to win here.
But at the same time, I would like, because like I would like to see Inner Circle go at it and then come out the victors. So I can see Sammy Guevara, like, finally doing singles stuff and getting a shot at the TNT Championship. I mean, that's one angle I would like to see.
Look, like Jericho doesn't need a push. He's Chris Jericho.
No, he doesn't.
Right?
So
whatever happens, Jericho is safe. But
yeah.
what's going to happen is they're going to set up an amazing feud between FTR and Santana and Ortiz. They're going to have their tag team matches.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I can't see them setting up, no offense, a feud between, I guess they could, but between Shawn Spears and Sammy. Like,
no,
I don't know. I just feel like what we need to see is Sammy versus MJF. That is what the people would like to see. And I think they can set this up with Blood and Guts. Move aside Chris Jericho. Sammy steps into the spotlight. And then we get to a pay-per-view match between him and MJF. And then we still have the Santana and Ortiz match. And we could still have the Wardlow and Jake Hager match. But it's not that we can't see a Jericho versus MJF match. It's just that we've already seen it.
But at the same time, do we need to really see this get much more heat after Blood and Guts? Because
no, I think it should be. I think they should end the feud at Blood and Guts, much like they ended the feud between Team Taz and Darby Allin during the cinematic match. Because how do you top the cinematic match? You don't.
Exactly. That would be my concern. Because let's say like we do say like Pinnacle wins, and I don't know.
No, I think this is just the start of this rivalry. Like, I think we need to stretch it out a lot longer. I think we need to have some kind of big match at the next pay-per-view involving whether it's a singles match, whether it's a tag team match, whether it's a weird stipulation cinematic match. That said, that's also why I think it makes sense for Pinnacle to go over. That's the only way that you can stretch this out, is if they win. If they don't win, like, they're already dead in the water as it is. If they don't win Blood and Guts, then like they're not a faction. This was nothing. The other thing I agreed with that Ricky said, and I think this would be fantastic, and I really hope that they do this, is have Sammy as one of the last men standing. Like, I want him to do an Iron Man. I mean, that was the point of him talking himself into going in first and everything. So like, have him like go the distance, and maybe that's why the Pinnacle wins, because the last guy, and obviously it's going to be someone who's more willing to do something underhanded to win, and there's going to be lots of interference and whatnot.
And no offense, but he's the only one in the Inner Circle who could last that long. Jericho won't have the stamina. Yeah. Santana and Ortiz are part of a tag team, so it doesn't make sense. And Jake Hager he can't last that long. He's Jake Hager, like, no offense, dude. Yeah. He's the weakness, the weak spot, I guess, of the Inner Circle, even though he's the biggest guy.
I don't know about weak spot. I like Sammy.
Yeah, Hager, I would say he's a weak spot, but like his conditioning is not.
It's like if they were a transformer, he would be the torso, I guess. But Jericho's the brains, Sammy's the feet, he's the one who can move fast, and Santana and Ortiz have the arms, right? Okay. But the torso is pretty much like all it does is connect everyone. Apart from that, it doesn't really
and absorb
have much offense.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. I'm not good analogy. Very apt.
The only thing I want to know before we move on to the next main event is, do you think we're going to have a surprise appearance by maybe a new member of the Pinnacle? Like, is someone going to help the Pinnacle win? Because like you can't really cheat if everyone is involved in a match. I don't think, and it's
Well, they
inside,
have
like,
Tully.
yeah, but like honestly, what is that dude going to do? I mean, I know.
He
I mean,
hashed on Spears, his little metal thing, and the
I guess.
glove he's not wearing anymore. I don't know.
I don't know. First of all, I don't know
Pass
how
somebody a belt. He's done that before.
I don't know how Tully can interfere because they're locked inside a cage. So is Tully in the match? He's not in the match.
No, but he'll be at cage side.
Possibly.
Yeah, it's similar to when Cody Rhodes had the match with Wardlow in the cage, and what's his face kept on trying to interfere, and he was trying to get Arn Anderson to betray Cody Rhodes. And
right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we'll see. So I don't know. I have a feeling that it doesn't really make sense to bring in a sixth person because it works as 5 versus 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tyson was sort of like a 1 night or 2 night thing. He was just a special referee or special guest enforcer, whatever you call it. Tully is okay. He's a manager. It's not really like having a sixth wrestler. So I think the Pinnacle is going to win. And I think they're going to win, quote unquote, fair and square.
Yeah, I mean it's entirely possible. I mean to be honest, like I would I'm leaning towards Pinnacle. But for me my end game would be like I just want to see Sammy get over like hard, like really hard.
Yeah, this should be a star-making moment for him.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny because wasn't it Sean Spears who mentioned that he hasn't wrestled in a while? So he's had some big moments, but like I've always complained how Sammy's never won a big match, except against maybe Darby Allin during a pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like the biggest match he's ever won.
Yeah, and when you compare it to Darby Allin back then to now, I mean Darby Allin is a superstar. He's main event and everything. So if you could bring Sammy Guevara to that caliber, I will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've been pushing him hard from the start. Unfortunately, the stupid comments got resurfaced, and he had to get suspended and all that, and it kind of like slowed down his momentum. But like, I think he's handled it so well and has taken all the right kinds of bumps, and I think now is a good time to really get 100% behind the Sammy Guevara push and see how far he goes.
I want to hear more about the story about the assassination attempt on Chris Jericho and how Jake Hager saved him or stood up for him and protected him.
Oh boy!
To be honest,
we need an episode of Talk is Jericho. We need to talk about it.
But what is the story? To be honest, I don't know what the story is.
We don't know. It's just he mentioned it in this promo that apparently he stood up for him because someone was trying to assassinate Chris Jericho in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi, and but yeah, it is a true story. Like Chris Jericho verified it on Twitter. By the way, I've mentioned this before in the past, but the Talk is Jericho podcast is a really good show. Not every episode is going to land because it depends on if you're interested in the topic, and sometimes it does get weird when he talks to people who are, believers of like weird conspiracy theories. I get it though; like he just wants to hear their side of the story. But when he interviews like guys like Christian Cage or Stone Cold Steve Austin, those are fantastic episodes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like when it's certainly like a topic that I'm interested in, he's a very good interviewer. He has a way of like getting like, down to earth and very, I don't know how to say it, but
well, he gets a lot of slack for some guests that he brings on a show. But the reason why I respect it is because he's not trying to be the jury, judge, and executioner. He's trying to listen to their story, and he realizes that everyone has different opinions, even if he doesn't agree. And some people just get really pissed off because of whatever political side he takes when it comes to like U.S. politics. But that's his business. And that, like, look, the bottom line is, I'm ranting here, but if we were to know a lot about the personal lives and personal opinions of most celebrities who we like be it wrestlers, actors, singers, whatever, we would most likely dislike a good 50% of them.
Yeah, but that's also too what I like about Chris Jericho. I mean, like I don't need to like listen to the episodes about conspiracy theorists or anything, but like I do I do like the idea of promoting an open talk, right? Like having to hear both sides of the story, which is like something that I always like to do in my personal life as well, because like I don't want to discriminate anyone just because of like the way they think or what they believe in. You know, I want to hear a story. I want to hear your side of the story and what makes you you.
Yeah, so long as Jericho keeps liking and retweeting our tweets, he can talk about what the fuck he wants to talk about.
All right, and we are going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the future of AEW and AEW Dynamite.
Super Kick Podcast!
And we're back. And we're going to be talking about, there were some rumors earlier in the week about Dynamite possibly changing days and how that would affect the AEW lineup of shows. Ricky.
Well, actually, Aaron, you're the one who mentioned this on Twitter, and apparently it's not true, so I'm confused now.
Okay, well, the story that broke this week was that TNT, the current the cable network that AEW is on, has just acquired the NBC deal of airing NHL shows. So
Which, by the way, is why they had to move NXT. That's the real reason they moved NXT. The real reason they moved NXT is not that Vince McMahon wanted to move away from Wednesday nights because of AEW and Dynamite and competition. It's because they forced them to move.
because of the NHL?
Because, yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So it seems like they ran away and they were afraid of, AEW Dynamite and they were losing ratings. And that could be possibly true. But the truth is, because of the contract and the deal with the NHL, they're airing NHL games on Tuesday nights. And therefore, they asked Vince McMahon and WWE to shift. Sorry, on Wednesday nights, and they asked them to shift, their NXT to Tuesdays.
Yeah, because NXT is on USA.
So that's why I was confused, because when you said that Dynamite might be moving away from Wednesday because of a hockey deal, I thought you were getting, or whoever was getting, their stories confused or wires confused, because that was the reason why NXT moved. Because why would TNT? I guess technically they could compete, because if you're a fan of, say, the Bruins, you're going to watch the Bruins game no matter who's on the other channel, right?
Yeah,
if you're a fan of the Maple Leafs, you're going to watch the Maple Leafs game, so on and so forth. So it's not really competition. It sort of is competition, but not really. I mean, technically everything's competition. Netflix is competition. Disney Plus is competition. YouTube's competition. Any form of entertainment is competition.
That is true. I mean, because let's face it, the NHL is most sports, professional sports programs tend to generally outperform wrestling anyway. So
nowadays,
yeah. I mean, it was when the story broke. It was the story was there was a potential of AEW moving because of this new deal. But again, like it was nothing concrete. I mean, there was nothing Tony Khan really said, and it wasn't until like yesterday when I heard Tony Khan on the Busted Open Radio that he completely shut down any rumors of AEW moving, just because.
You mean Dynamite?
Dynamite. I mean, like, because, I mean, why didn't we all think of this? Dynamite is on a contract. You're not going to move them on a contract because
they re-signed the contract last year when the ratings went through the roof.
Exactly.
So I don't know how long the contract is. Is it 2 years, a year, 10 years?
It was like 3 years, wasn't it?
No,
Yeah, I
the
think so.
contract Tony Khan said was 2.5 years.
Okay, so they still have about a year
Yeah.
and a half to go.
And he specifically stated that he is open to move. He's open to move for the right price.
Okay, but here's the thing. First of all, I don't want him to move because I
No.
think Wednesday night is the best night to watch wrestling.
It is.
Like,
Totally.
look, okay, first of all, Monday you have Monday Night Football, you have
Mhm.
Raw. Tuesdays you have NXT and Impact, and imagine the relationship between AEW and Impact if they move to Tuesdays. God.
Well, Impact is on Thursdays now.
Oh, right, they moved to Thursday. I forgot. Okay, whatever. There's NXT, so you're back to the NXT Dynamite Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you move to Thursday, you're competing with your buddy Impact.
Mhm.
So that's not good. If you move to Friday, first of all, I don't like watching wrestling on Friday night. I like to go
Nobody
out with my
watches
friends.
anything on
Yeah,
Friday.
exactly.
No, exactly.
Except
Exactly.
for late night when they're too drunk and stoned to do anything else.
Yeah, and then when you talk about like the target demographic of like wrestling, which is like 18 to 49, a lot of 18-year-olds doesn't want to be at home on Friday night.
I mean, granted,
So-
we don't have much of a choice right now, but that's quickly
Yeah.
changing too.
Well, and that is quickly changing, especially in places in the States. But here's the thing. So then you're down to Saturday. Saturday kind of feels like Friday, not a good night. Unless it's Saturday day, but they're not going to put Dynamite in the middle of the daytime.
Yeah.
And then you got
Lord.
Sunday, and Sunday's not a good night either. You know why? You got NBA championships, you got Stanley Cup championships, you got Super Bowl, you got
Mhm.
Grammy Awards, you got Oscars, you got Game of Thrones. Well, not Game of Thrones, but you got big shows like, the big Sunday night shows like Game of Thrones, Mad Men, Walking Dead. All those shows were on Sundays for a specific reason.
Yeah.
You got tons of competition. So really, Wednesday is the best night for Dynamite. It is. Now, well, if we talk about Elevation, Dark, and the new show, that's a whole different story. For Elevation, if it's going to continue to be an online YouTube show, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
For the new show that is supposed to be 1 hour,
Mhm.
I think the best thing for them to do is to do it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wouldn't mind waking up Saturday morning and watching an hour of wrestling while I drink my coffee and, surf the internet.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It reminds me of like, Saturday during when I grew up watching wrestling, they used to show Saturdays was it Saturday afternoon, I think?
That's
The-
true, yeah.
the
No, I
WWF
remember
programs?
after Pee Wee's Playhouse, wrestling
Yeah.
would come on, and like
Yeah.
there'd be Hulk Hogan shouting at us. Yeah,
By the way, I don't know if it was the JR podcast or maybe it was our good buddy Jimmy
Jim Cornette.
Cornette.
right? One of those podcasts, they were talking about this, and I totally forgot about this. So back in the day when they actually had a Friday night show, back when
Mhm.
wrestling was at its peak, like the Austin Rock days, the Attitude Era,
Mhm.
the Friday night show had 30 plus million viewers live.
That is insane.
Insanity.
But that is totally a different time now. I mean that is almost. I mean,
Like, I don't think anything gets those ratings nowadays.
mhm.
If you ever go and look at the highest rated TV shows of all time, and you
Mhm.
look at the numbers for shows like Cheers, Seinfeld, Friends, what am I forgetting here? Even Twin Peaks, like the pilot for Twin Peaks, like Miami Vice, like these shows from the 80s and 90s, because back then you didn't have PVRs, you didn't have the internet, you couldn't download, you couldn't stream.
Mhm.
So unless you missed an episode, you had to sit down in front of your TV and
It was
watch a damn
appointment
show.
television.
Yeah.
For sure. And so ratings will never be the same. It's like no one will ever technically beat Michael Jackson's record for selling 42 million copies of Thriller in like a year and a half, because
Mhm.
nowadays people don't buy albums.
Yeah.
Like they kind of still do, but not, collectors, diehard fans. Not everyone's going to rush to buy the new Taylor Swift or Kanye West album because they're just going to download it or play it on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's totally a different time than what it is today. I mean, it's funny how you talk about like appointment television, because I always think about like when I was a kid, and I mentioned to my kids too, because I at this age they still have trouble telling the time, and sometimes like I would tell them like when I was your age, like I knew the time because I had to. It's true because
yeah.
because I would tell him like because I would know at 4 o'clock.
G.I. Joe
Well, for me, it was Power Rangers, but
or Transformers or like whatever,
exactly,
whatever. One of those cartoons.
yeah, exactly. There's
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was
Yeah,
at
I
that time
used
slot.
to know that my dad was coming home because that was around 5, and that's when Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was wrapping up.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing with Saturday morning cartoons. I would get up at
Dude, yeah.
I would get up at 7 in the morning so I can watch Iron Man, and then right after at 7:30 would be Fantastic Four. And
But the thing is, it's like, okay, like I can't remember what every show is nowadays because, like, when you think back in the past, there are so many different wrestling shows. But
Mhm.
there was the Saturday morning WWF wrestling show,
yeah,
and if I'm not mistaken, that is when Undertaker premiered for the first time. He premiered on like a Saturday or a Sunday morning, but I think it was Saturday
I think
morning.
it was Saturday.
Yeah.
I might have
The
remembered
Undertaker, his first appearance on a
Mhm.
Saturday morning wrestling show. But WCW had I don't know if it was Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night. They had a Saturday night wrestling show.
Was it Sunday Night Heat, Saturday? Oh,
No, this is like
no.
before Sunday Night Heat, before the
Oh.
Attitude Era. We're talking about like when Sting was still
Yeah.
wearing,
Okay,
long.
when Sting was still wearing his green tights and had his bleached blonde hair and was wearing
Yeah.
the face paint across half of his face.
The Surfer's thing.
Sorry?
The Surfer's thing.
The Surfer's thing, right?
Yeah.
After he broke up with the Ultimate Warrior as a tag team partner,
Mhm.
right? So, like, I remember that's why, like, my two favorite wrestlers of all time is Shawn Michaels and Sting, and I would probably put Bret Hart at number 3. Like, the first time I watched a WCW match, it just so happened to be Sting in the ring. He's the
Mhm.
first guy I ever saw wrestle in WCW. I don't know who the first guy I ever saw wrestle in WWF was, but I know WCW was Sting, and that's how I started to watch WCW because I just loved his look. And then Shawn Michaels was just great because he was part of the Rockers, right? And then
Yeah.
eventually he broke up with Marty and did his own thing.
Mhm.
But the point is, back then we had all these shows and they worked, but it was a different time. Like,
It was.
I feel like it's impossible to catch up on shows. Like, I actually just wrote this email to our writers over at goombastomp.com, and we're basically changing the vision of what we want to cover and how we want to cover things. So I was trying to explain to the guys, I'm like, you know what? Like, one of our writers was like, hey, can I write weekly wrestling reviews or recaps of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown? I'm like, why? Like, why? Like, honestly, why? Like, first of all, it's boring as hell. But even if it wasn't boring as hell, like, it's not like it was 10, 20 years ago where if you miss an episode, you want to read a recap. You want to know who won, what happens. Nowadays,
I
you can
go on to
PVR it.
TSN Live and like watch the replay.
Yeah, you can
Exactly.
watch it at any point in time. You can record it, you can download it, you can stream it, and you can watch the highlights on a YouTube package that'll take up 5 minutes of your time.
Mhm.
So it's a completely different world. So I don't understand why people honestly, I don't understand why anybody recaps a wrestling show. That's why our podcast, we try to structure it in a way where we're not recapping the match, recapping
The
the
show
episode.
match by match. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Cultaholic stopped doing all of their recap shows too. So, you know, for the amount of effort, like, I don't think people really, I mean, like you said, it's boring as hell. Like, I don't
Mhm.
need to go step by step in what you thought about everything. We can just
Yeah.
give a general impression of, or, you know, different topics that were inspired by what happened on the show.
Mhm.
But you know what AEW should do? Because like we've talked about how there's a lot of content right now, and there's like a rumor about how Tony Khan is producing a lot of content because he's eventually hoping to get some kind of streaming deal. And it wouldn't be surprising if he breaks some kind of deal with HBO because he's buddy with Warner Brothers, right?
Mhm.
You know, just look at the Godzilla Kong promotion thing that they did on Dynamite recently.
Mhm.
And Tony Khan has connections and friends, so he's buddy with those dudes over at Warner Brothers. But the point
Sure.
is, even if you were to have some kind of streaming deal or channel with like HBO or Warner Brothers or whatever it is that they're going to do, and they produce all this content, we don't have enough time in our lives to consume this content.
Mhm.
It would be really cool if they can deliver us a highlight package every week of what happens on Dynamite and Dark. And maybe that'll actually encourage people to check in every so often. Because they don't do that. And I'll tell you why. I was watching Sammy's vlog last week. I don't know if you saw this. Remember the episode with Kane? Like when he went to the Comic-Con?
Yeah.
So he was at the Comic-Con and he went up to he went up to a group of kids and he's like, hey, and he shows them, I think it was like a picture of Fuego del Sol or something. He mentioned Fuego or showed them a picture. I can't remember what happened. And they were so confused. They had no idea who Fuego del Sol was or is. And I'm like, okay, that means they're not watching Dark. They're
Yeah.
not watching Sammy's vlog. They're not watching BTE. You know what I mean? They're not watching Elevation. They're only watching Dynamite because they don't know who Fuego del Sol is. Fuego del Sol is like, he's like the funniest dude in the roster. Like, you have to know who he is if you watch any of those shows.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, as far as like that goes too. Although, I would not let my kids watch Sammy's vlog though.
Well, nor BTE, right?
Nor BTE.
Anyhow, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Tony Khan eventually does. I don't think he's going to bring in or kickstart the new show until there's an actual live crowd each and every single week, which might be 2022 at this point.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but JR has said that they might begin touring in July.
They might start touring in July in certain cities. Is it going to be full capacity? Are you going to have some sort of like proof that you had 2 vaccines?
It was certainly, first of all, like when it comes to capacity or not, that's all reliant on the state that they're in. So I don't know where they're going to go.
The state, and I'm sure like the venues are going to have their own regulations that they're going to have that may go above and beyond whatever their state regulations are. So it's hard to speculate on what it's going to look like, and it probably won't look the same everywhere they go either.
Exactly. I mean, like we just had a UFC event where it was like was it a packed house? I can't remember, but it looked like a packed.
Pretty full.
Yeah, it looked like a packed stadium.
There was not 2 meters between everyone. I know that much.
I don't want to be that guy, but they opened up everything in India, including nightclubs and sporting events. God. And look what happened to India.
Yeah.
It took them a few months, but they got hit, and they got hit hard. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, people. Believe it or not, conspiracy theories aside, whatever you want to believe, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So, and I think Tony Khan realizes that, and I think he's a bit more responsible than some of the dudes who own some of the bigger companies. So I just can't see Tony Khan jumping full steam ahead with sold out pack shows during a pandemic until he knows. I mean, look, like, unless they do something where you have to prove that you had 2 vaccines, which could be possible in the States, because everyone I know in the States, like my friends, have all had two vaccine shots.
Yeah.
But in certain countries, like even Canada, like we haven't even been able to get the first vaccine shot yet. So
the window has opened up for our age brackets.
Right. But by the time we get the first shot and the second shot, we're still looking towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to take a while. So we'll see. All that said, I think Tony Khan's very responsible. I think as it is, like they're kind of like, I won't say pushing their luck, but they're letting more and more people in. And if you look at the crowd, not everyone's following the rules. Let's be honest, right? I think they're doing the best they can. I think they're doing a pretty good job. I think like AEW to me is kind of like the NBA. The way the NBA handled the pandemic compared to say like the NFL, which was a complete disaster. So like when you compare it to WWE, like WWE opened up WrestleMania, but like I don't know, man, like a 2-night event, a whole entire weekend, like 50,000 plus people packed into like Florida plus everyone else that lives there. That's kind of like, eesh.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? My neighbor just died of COVID. I just found out yesterday. So like a year ago, I was like, someone told me like, within a year from now, we're all going to know at least one person who died or was seriously affected and ill of COVID. And I was just thinking like, I don't know anybody. And then sure enough, as I'm saying that to my friend yesterday, 2 hours later, I find out that my neighbor died of COVID-19.
Yeah. I mean,
it is real, man.
Yeah. We lost someone in our family actually back in BC in one of the nursing homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's a great way to end the podcast.
Yeah.
The bottom line is like you still have to realize it's a wrestling show. It's not water. We don't need it to survive. So I'm okay with waiting if need be. And Tony Khan does not have to rush to deliver us a new show right away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like what AEW, what Tony Khan's been doing. I mean, doing at Daily's Place. The production and everything, the limited fans or even like the extras in the front, like it's doing a good job for me. It's good enough as it is compared to Impact.
They figured out how to do it and do it safely, and I do think they should be commended for that. And personally, I prefer that they continue doing it because they're doing it so well.
And I know the dude's rich, but he's still losing a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, everything is falling apart. And And on that note, I think we're going to call it a night. I want to thank my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
No problemo.
And of course, the ravishing Ricky D.
Just a reminder, you can find the podcast over at goombastomp.com under the wrestling section or the podcast section. You can follow us on Twitter at Talk AEW Podcast. We do upload the podcast to YouTube if that's something that interests you. But it's on like Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. It's everywhere. Just go to goombastomp.com and you will find all the links. Once again, GOOMBASTOMP. Goomba, like like the Goomba from Nintendo, stomp.com. That's where you can find us.
Or you can leave us a tweet at Talk AEW Podcast. Goodbye.
And you want to talk about a family? This is a family. How long have you known these jackoffs for? 3 months? This family has been part of AEW since day one. This man had my back when I was threatened assassination in Abu Dhabi in 2012. These lapdogs are a pack of wild animals that have torn and clawed their way to the top of AEW, and I owe them for that. This man right here, I brought him personally to the inner circle, and because of you, he quit. And that's not going to happen again. You are not going to get in the middle of the inner circle, and you're not going to beat us at blood and guts. You won't make us submit, and you are going to have to kill us to make us surrender. You are going to have to kill us to make us surrender. And when that doesn't happen, we're going to step on you like the pile of crap that you are, wipe our feet on the concrete, and look down at the only spot that you deserve.